I'm Shannon Thrasher, and this is 30 Second Tactics. Today, before I get started, guys, if you're enjoying these videos, please do me a favor. Subscribe to the channel, like the videos, share the videos, do all that good YouTube stuff. Let's get the word out. And if you hate the videos, then get in the comment section and tear me a new one and let me know what I'm doing wrong. But either way, guys, I mean, I'd really enjoy the interaction. I appreciate it. Get involved. Let me know what I can do for you. Okay, so like the topic says, stupid things the cops say. Let me preface all this by saying these are just some of my opinions, some of my experiences. I'm not picking on anybody. If you feel really triggered by this, that's on you. I wasn't talking about you. I'm talking about that other guy that you know that maybe, and some of these are a little more serious than others, so we'll just jump right into it. The first thing that I hear cops say, and of course I'm like everyone else out there, there's basically 3 times that you hear cops say things, and that's, you know, when you're out policing and it's your coworkers, or if you happen to get stopped for a traffic stop or something, or before you became a police officer, and where the vast majority of people hear the most cops say things, and that's on TV. Now, of course, unfortunately, on TV we have a whole bunch of fake TV cops, and then we have several, you know, real cops too. You know, shows like Cops or Live PD where you're recording things as they happen, and they're, you know, heavily edited but not scripted. I'll give them that. But anyway, one of the first things I hear cops say, and it drives me crazy, is, "Hey, do me a favor. Hey, do me a favor and step over here. Hey, do me a favor and step out of the car." You're not doing me a favor. I'm not asking your permission. I'm giving you a lawful order, and I am in control of this traffic stop. That's not an ego thing. That's a officer safety thing. Be in front of that traffic stop or that whatever that contact is. I mean, if it's not a consensual contact, if it's a detention or investigative contact or whatever you want to call it in your state, if you're doing your job and it's their job to listen and do what you tell them, then tell them. Don't use the phrase "do me a favor." I don't know where we picked this up, but I mean, I'll move on because I have several of them, and that one really burns me up. Another one here all the time. "For your safety and mine." Oh, I'm going to pull you out of the car for your safety and mine. I'm going to handcuff you for your safety and mine. Okay, maybe there's going to be an increase in safety of me or the suspect by doing that. But saying that, I don't know if we're trying to calm them down or just fine. But it's kind of one of those things where it's been said so much by so many cops. I don't think the suspects hear it anymore. I don't think they care anymore. It's like, you know, drop the gun or we'll shoot you, and they say it 20 times and they never shoot the guy or whatever. It's one of those things that cops have said so much, it's kind of doesn't mean anything anymore. I mean, if you have a legal, justifiable, reasonable suspicion, whatever the case may be, reason to detain someone or detain them in handcuffs or to pull them out of the car, whatever you have a reason to, you're doing it, again, because you're in charge. You don't have to justify it to them. Now, that's not to say, you know, be a jerk about it and don't tell anybody anything, but just the phrase for my safety and yours, I've seen that automatically trigger people into, you know, well, what am I doing that's threatening your safety? You're calling me a criminal. You're calling me a cop killer. You know, there might be a better way to word that. So we're gonna. Another one you see a lot on cops episodes. Now, thankfully, I don't get in as many foot pursuits as I used to, and even when I used to, I don't get as many as I did by watching a season of Cops. You know, obviously they edit down all the foot pursuits, but you know, they chase a guy for whatever reason, they catch him, and they're always like, "Why'd you run?" Now, I've seen this in the real world, which is why I don't think it's just for the camera. Some of it might be for the camera, but why'd you run? Well, why do you care? What does it matter? You know, what's the number one thing they're going to say? "Oh, I didn't see you," or "I'm scared of the police," or whatever, you know, lame excuse. It doesn't matter. You know, your justification for chasing them and catching them and arresting them and charging them for whatever version of running from the police is a crime in your state. It doesn't matter. Why'd you run? Unless you're trying to stick some other charge on them and you want to establish that they had, you know, knowledge of something else or whatever. It just seems like, you know, a waste of time, just a thing cops say because they can't think of what else to say while they're catching their breath. Another big one that gets me, and you'll get this in the more high stress situations and usually with multiple cops on scene. And again, you'll see this on Cops and other TV shows a lot. But it's the don't move, put your hands behind your back. whether it's this one guy saying it or it's two officers yelling different things. Okay, you want them to do what you're ordering them to do. You're giving them lawful orders, and at this point, in this situation, it probably is going to increase their safety if they do exactly what you tell them to do. First of all, you give them a command. Give their brain time to process that command before you start shouting another command or whipping out your baton or whatever you're doing to gain compliance. There's been lots of studies, but basically it takes three-quarters of a second just for someone to understand what you said, just for their brain to process it, especially if they're stressed out, they just ran, you just chased them. So when you yell, don't move, give them a second to comply with that. If they're still not moving, or if they're still moving, then maybe take some other action. But when you say, don't move, get your hands behind your back, what is that? That's contradictory commands. If I were to not move, then I can not move my hands from the front of my body to the back of my body. So you're giving more things for their brain to think about, which sometimes is good. Sometimes you want to mess up that OODA loop. But if they're relatively complying, you're just trying to give them commands. When you give them too many commands too close together, or commands that contradict each other like that, they can't help but be confused. And of course, their delay in responding, if you take that as they're resisting, then it just keeps escalating. You keep yelling more commands, and next thing you know, it's dogpile on the suspect who maybe wanted to comply to start with. All right. Another one kind of along that lines, and this one's not, I don't want to say, well, I'll just say it. Get your hands out of your pockets, okay? Why do we want people not digging in their pockets? We don't want them retrieving weapons. That's the number one thing. We also don't want them destroying or hiding evidence. But the main reason we want their hands out of their pockets is because we don't want them retrieving weapons. If their hands are already in their pockets, how do we know if their hands are around a knife or a gun or a broken bottle or whatever weapon, a needle, whatever you want it to be? We have no reason, no way of knowing that. So when you walk up to someone, he sticks his hands out in his pockets, and your immediate response is, get your hands out of your pockets, before you've even had a chance to evaluate that tactically, maybe to move to the side, maybe to find some cover, maybe to tell him to turn around first, and then take your hands out of the pocket. Because imagine the bad guy has stuck his hands in his pockets, and he's put his hands on a gun. And now your command is, get your hands out of your pocket. Okay? Or what if your command was, draw that gun and shoot me? Well, obviously you wouldn't say that, but that's exactly what you're saying. It's exactly the opportunity you're giving. And going back to the three-quarter second thing, it will take your brain some amount of time to comprehend that, oh, wait, he's taking his hand out of his pocket. That's exactly what I told him to do. He's complying. Oops, there's a gun in that hand. Now my brain has to do a 180 to realize he's not complying. So I'm not saying don't have them take their hands out of their pockets, but don't just have a knee-jerk boom, say it automatically without considering the tactics, the cover available, moving your position, moving their position, stuff like that. Last one, because this video is running a little long, and I'll throw some others in a follow-up video if you guys enjoy this one. I cannot stand it, and I've seen it more times on cops than I've seen it in real life, thankfully. But you go to a party, or you go to a domestic violence call, or you go to whatever call, and the cop, I'll tell you it's never been me, and I'll tell you why, and I'm not better than you guys or anything, it's just, I just learned this lesson early on. I can't stand it when the cop says, all right, I'm going to let this slide, but if I have to come back here again tonight, you're going to jail. I understand that they're trying to motivate that guy to behave, but what they've told that guy, if he takes them at their word, is if the cops come back, you're going to jail. So what does that tell the guy? When the cops pull back on my street, I should either immediately run away, I should immediately hide, I should immediately start shooting him, or I should do any of these things, because the cop already promised if they had to come back tonight, I'm going to jail. Don't set up these barriers to their cooperation. Every circumstance is different, but a blanket policy of, if I come back later tonight, you're going to jail, to me, that, maybe that will get you some good behavior out of him, but it almost guarantees some bad behavior if you do have to come back. So, I hope nobody got their feelings hurt on that. If you say some of these things, I'm not your boss. I'm not saying you can't say them. I'm not saying they're illegal or anything. I say they're stupid or dumb in the video because that catches people's eyes and you watch the video. But I just want you, like so many of the things I talk about in these videos, I just want you guys to consider the reasons I gave for thinking those aren't the best things you can say under the best circumstances, and maybe reevaluate what you're doing and maybe pass that on. And if you agree, if you totally disagree, the comment section is all open for you guys. Tear it up. I've never deleted a comment. If someone disagrees with me, I'll give my opinion and we'll move on with our lives. So it is what it is. And that's what I have for you guys this week. As always, work, train, repeat, and stay safe.